Welcome, dear friends. My name is Candace Sanderson, and today we are exploring one of my favorite topics, that sacred intersection between the mystical and the practical. When I first began having mystical experiences, I kept them to myself. I shared them with a few people, but very few people. There was something that was just so profound and magical about them that I worried that if I shared them, somehow it might diminish their magic. Over time, and with guidance from my messengers, I realized how faulty my thinking was. My messengers told me recently that it's not what you know. So it's not what you learn when you have these experiences, but it's about what you show, how you live what you've learned. When we bridge these other dimensions, it's a two-way street for a reason. We, of course, go there and we return, but we don't return empty-handed. We return with the wisdom that we have learned. Now, when we integrate this sacred knowledge, we begin to shape our day-to-day, three-dimensional lives, making use of insights from this beautiful realm of knowledge. We get to live the best of both worlds when we start to show the magic we have within. Today, let's dive into why out-of-body experiences, channeling, lucid dreams, and other such encounters are not only real, but useful. They are not random, although initially they can appear so. I started seeing them as invitations, as opportunities for self-reflection. They help us understand who we truly are, and these remarkable experiences allow us to return to the 3D with new information, a new perspective, and wisdom that we can integrate into our daily lives. You see, so many of us spend our days caught up in the material world, paying bills, going to work, replying to messages, getting stuck in traffic, arguing with family, you name it. And we end up measuring our lives by the things we can see and touch. But the truth is, we are far more than physical beings. We are consciousness, awareness, vast, eternal, limitless awareness, having a temporary human experience. And if you're lucky, every once in a while, something magical happens. We touch the sacred. We experience something that defies logic. A dream so vivid it feels more real than waking life. A moment of knowing that we can't explain how we know it, but we feel it. Every fiber in our body tells us it is true. Sometimes we have an extraordinary journey where we leave the limits of the physical body far behind. These are not random. They are not accidents. They are reminders for us to remember. Let's hyphenate that word for us to remember, to join again with our true essence, our spirit. During these times, we experience what we have forgotten, that we are spiritual beings first, navigating this beautiful, dense world as part of a larger journey, the unfolding of our eternal soul. Let me begin with something personal. Years ago, my life was ordinary by all standards. I was a psychologist living a normal, very structured life. And then one morning, driving in my car early to work, everything changed. Messages began to flow, not from my mind, but from somewhere far greater. That single moment on August 28th, 2013, opened a doorway to the unseen. What I learned and continue to learn is that these mystical openings are not about escaping, they are about connecting. When we enter those higher vibrational states, whether through dreams, meditation, channeling, out of body experiences, we are reminded that there is more to life than what meets the eye. We tap into a frequency of love, wisdom, and intelligence that transcends words. This is an energy, a vibration that heals, guides, and informs us. But here's the key, and this is central to my philosophy. These experiences are certainly fascinating and extraordinary on multiple levels, but they mean very little if we don't bring them with us into the 3D. And if we keep this magic from within, it serves no one. So it's not until we integrate these lessons into the fabric of daily life that we see the true magic. That is where transformation occurs. These mystical experiences, lucid dreams, channeling, OBEs, they're useful for several reasons. First, they expand our perception. We begin to see life through a different set of lenses. These experiences remind us that our consciousness is not confined to the brain or any other part of the physical body. When we realize that awareness exists beyond the physical, our fear of death dissolves. When fear diminishes, our ability to love expands. We begin to live with more compassion. We treat others and ourselves with greater kindness because we recognize the divine in all beings. Second, these experiences teach us how energy flows. My messengers taught me about a universal formula, TEA, thoughts, energy, action. By understanding this formula, you can use it as a tool to better navigate your life. When we are in expanded states, we see how thought and emotion shape reality or actions. The emotion, that's the E in the TEA. Think of emotion, energy in motion. That is what powers the intention, the thought. When we're in the 5D, the thought immediately manifests to action. But when we're in the 3D, that process is so slowed down that many of us do not even realize how powerful our thoughts are and how those thoughts, and depending on how we fuel them, may or may not manifest into actions. Well, they manifest into actions, but will they manifest into the action that we wanted? We learned that every emotion we have is a powerful energy frequency that ripples through the web of creation. When we send love or gratitude, those higher vibrational frequencies, we create, we're talking about the A, the action in TEA, what we had intended. But if we worry or doubt or get angry for whatever reason, those frequencies also ripple throughout the universe and they derail what we had intended to create. A third reason for expansive experiences, they reconnect us with a higher purpose. They remind us that our lives are not random. They are orchestrated opportunities for growth, for learning, for remembering who we truly are. Now, let me talk about grounding, because this is where the usefulness of these experiences become real. When we return from an out-of-body journey or wake from a lucid dream, we may feel disoriented or detached from the world. It is so tempting to go back, to escape the heaviness of earth. But instead of fleeing to avoid our 3D challenges, let's reverse the process. Let's bring in the light energy from those extraordinary realms. Let's make our 3D world better. You see, when you visit a higher dimension, your energy body exists in a space of pure love. No wonder we don't want to return back to Earth. But when you do touch down back on this beautiful planet, those higher dimensional frequencies remain within you. Think of this light energy as a glowing ember, and our job is to fan that ember, to let it burst into a flame. That happens when we express it in the choices that we make, how we speak to others, how we handle conflict, how we care for ourselves and our planet. That is integration, bringing that light back into a sometimes dark world. It is sharing the magic within. It is the act of living what you've learned. It is the messenger's recent mantra. It's not what you know, it's what you show. So let's imagine this together. You're in a meditation, you're breathing deeply, yet softly, and your awareness begins to expand. This is what the messengers call the POE, the point of existence. You feel yourself rise beyond the confines of your body, maybe even outside the room. For me, I often see myself expanded into the cosmos, floating and zooming between galaxies. When we become so expansive, we drift into a timeless realm of light that is serene and peaceful. When we take a deep breath, we bring that magic within, this beautiful, unconditional love, the kind of love that expects nothing and heals everything. You understand in that moment that everything and every time and every place are connected. Unity consciousness. There is no thing, no time, no place that you are not. You begin to see life differently. You realize every challenge in your life has a purpose, and that purpose is not to punish you. Now, imagine bringing that realization, that wisdom, that new perspective back into your 3D world. Watch how it changes you. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, pause. They may not be jerks or the names that you called them under your breath. Maybe they were on their way to the emergency room. The next time someone speaks harshly, remember that they too are part of this same divine whole. Those realizations allow you to act differently, no longer reacting with anger or hurt. You respond, you act with compassion and understanding. That is how the mystical becomes practical. That is sharing the magic from within. That is how touching the sacred helps us navigate daily life. Mystical experiences, you see, are classrooms. They teach us through direct experience what no book or belief system or religious dogma can convey. It's very personal. We learn what it feels like to be one with all life. We taste our own divinity. And then we spend our lives learning to embody it. In these states, in the 5D, guidance often arrives in symbols or metaphors. A golden light, a vine that grows upward. That was something that I experienced this week. A flower, a flower, blooming. A stream of energy that flows through the heart. But each image is a message. The light reminds me of illumination, of clarity, shining a light on a path to follow. The vine for me reminds me of growth and connection. The flower that we too are flowers of energy. And this flowing energy through the heart tells me to stay in movement and in the present moment and to allow life to unfold. When we interpret these messages, we translate spiritual language into human understanding. With experience, you will begin to notice symbols, and as they become more consistent, they'll mean something to you that might be different from others. For example, when I see ribbons of pastel pink and green energies as they float into the room, they look like chiffon scarves that are floating in slow motion. Those colors and movements are always associated with angels for me, but it took me months to figure this out. So as far as the symbols go, that is going to be up to your interpretation and what feels right with you. But know that there is a message there. Somehow my messenger saw me as needing maybe a book called Symbology for Dummies. So messages often accompany my symbols, and I'm ever so grateful for their targeted specific teachings. When we apply that wisdom from the 5D, we begin to live life consciously. And that is the magic from within, connecting the mystical with the mundane. The goal is not to live out there. The goal is to bring out there down here. Then share that magic through your dreams. The goal is to embody higher consciousness while we live, love, and work in this physical world. So how do we integrate this divine information, this wisdom from our angels and guides? How do we take these sacred experiences and make them part of everyday life? There's a few simple steps. First, acknowledge the experience. Don't dismiss it as imagination. Our culture values the tangible, but the unseen is just, if not more so, as real. Write it down, record it. Why? By doing that, we honor the experience And we demonstrate that it is important to us by giving it our energy and our attention to write it down. Second, reflect. Ask, what did this experience show me? What part of my life does it illuminate? Often guidance is simple. Slow down, trust, forgive. But those simple messages, when lived, can shift everything. And third, embody the energy. If you feel peace during the experience, bring that peace back into your daily routine. If you felt unity, practice seeing that unity in others. If the experience energized you, bring that with you. Bring these energy frequencies back with you and let them become actions. TEA, thoughts, energy, action. In that formula, if the energy of emotion, energy and motion, is aligned with your thoughts, it will move, it will manifest into the desired action. Now, stretch that action a little farther and bring those back to daily life. Unleash your messenger. Release the magic from within. But how do we ground these often lofty ideas into the density of the 3D world? How do we embed them in Earth life? For grounding, walk outside, touch the earth, touch a tree, eat. Wholesome foods are great, but my go-to for grounding is chocolate. Yummy. Breathe deeply. Remember that you are both spirit and body. You are that magical bridge between heaven and earth. Connecting with earth while remembering that we are both spirit and physical body will help us integrate the mystical because we have changed how we see the world. We stop looking for the divine in distant places and start recognizing the sacred in the everyday, in a child's laughter, in the rhythm of your breath, in the sunlight filtering through a window, the song of a distant bird. This is what touching the sacred teaches us. We learn the magic is never far away. It is always right here, just waiting for us to notice. Like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz when the Good Witch Glinda tells her she's always had the power. Mystical experiences dissolve the illusion of separation. They show us that we are not small, fragile beings lost in a chaotic universe. We may feel like it, but that is far from the truth. Realize that we are creators. We are participants in a vast, intelligent web of love. And when we live from that truth, our 3D lives become sacred acts. Acts, actions, no longer reactions. By not responding to the chaos surrounding us, we become empowered. We act, we create, we live. Work becomes service. Relationships become opportunities for healing, and challenges become our greatest teachers. The more we connect with the sacred, the more authentic we become. We stop pretending, stop striving to be someone else. We remember who we already are. Divine consciousness expressing itself through human form. When you know that, when you remember, rejoin the truth, then life changes. Fear of uncertainty, fear of the unknown drops away because you sense the unseen order behind it. You no longer feel alone because you hear the whisper from your higher self. You feel the love of unseen helpers. You dance to the rhythm of life as it moves through you. It is aligned. Your energy is aligned with your thought, and the outcome, the action, responds accordingly. That's the T formula. What was mystical becomes a mirror, reflecting your true self back to you. Every out-of-body experience, every vision, every intuitive whisper says, you are more than what you think you are. You are more than your physical body, this avatar we use to navigate the 3D. So, dear ones, the next time you touch the sacred, whether it's through a dream, a knowing, meditation, or an unexpected moment of grace, remember this. You were never meant to stay out there. You were meant to bring the magic back. Bring back the wisdom, the love, the stillness. Then weave that magic into your everyday life, your conversations, your work, your relationships. That is how we evolve as humanity. That is how we walk the walk and talk the talk between the unseen and the seen worlds. We are master weavers, and the light of the divine moves through us, threading heaven and earth together, one magical moment by moment, one beautiful breath by breath. So breathe deeply, smile, feel the sacred in each heartbeat. Feel it in the air that surrounds you. You are part of the great tapestry of creation. Over time, you realize the mystical is not separate from life. It is life when seen through the eyes of the soul. And with that awareness, we begin to live not just in the world, but through it as divine beings, walking each step in light and grace. And what a beautiful path that is. Don't you agree? Thank you for joining me today. If you find value in the words of my messengers, please like, subscribe, and share. I love the comments below too. Remember, you are powerful, wise, and worthy of a fulfilling life. Keep shining your light. The answers you seek are always within. And do so with kindness and a smile on your face. Until next time, recognize your divinity within and release your magic. Treat others with kindness and compassion. Until next time, goodbye.